Hi friends! So today I am actually in the greenhouse. I moved a lot of my gardening supplies from the basement and from one of my gardening sheds yesterday. So it was kind of like a somewhat move-in day for the greenhouse. I don't really have too many plants in here yet, but I will share what I do have. My biggest goal for the greenhouse right now is to get it ready for February when I need to start the onions and the peppers. And I don't want to have the same experience I had last year where I ended up with hundreds if not thousands of baby seedlings in our basement. That was the biggest reason Joe really jumped into this greenhouse, because it was like the little shop of horrors in our basement. So very successful and very awesome, but yeah, our basement's really not supposed to be a nursery, so thus the greenhouse this year. So I'm going to share kind of what we are thinking for heating and setup as far as building greenhouse tables in here to put the seedlings on, and kind of share the supplies I've already moved in. Over here are mostly the supplies I moved from the basement. And those of you who start seeds kind of know these are your basic requirements, right? Your seed trays, your little pots and such. These are your staples for seed starting. And last year, I really stocked up on lots of pots of all shapes and sizes. Most of them I did get off Amazon. These white ones I got at a hydroponic store. Last minute, I needed some bigger pots, couldn't wait for Amazon, and Joe was kind enough to run out to a hydroponic store and grab me some of those. I participated in a tailgate sale last April, a local one just about 5 minutes away, and I sold a good amount of seedlings, and it was the first time I ever did that. Thus, the little shop of horrors that was in our basement. I really started a ton of seeds, and now I have a lot of resources, which is definitely a good thing, and I shouldn't have to buy pots anytime soon. Maybe seedling trays, but we'll see. This past season, I bought a ton of different fabric gardening pots. I never used them before, so this was my first experience, and I really do like them. Most of them held up very, very well. No issues with breakage. There were a few though, I'll have to find it, where the handle, I probably was trying to pick it up with too much dirt and applied too much pressure as I pulled it, but it actually ripped the handle off of the fabric bag and ripped it straight down. But I want to say that happened, I think, only to one of them, and I ordered, goodness gracious, probably got 25 of these of different sizes. I can't quite remember what those sizes were, but I can link them in the description below as to what I bought off Amazon for my fabric bags. And they worked out great. I didn't have enough garden space for all the seedlings I started, and in a pinch, I was able to fill them with some soil and grow tomatillos in them and some tomatoes, all sorts of different things, and they really did work well. I highly recommend them, especially if you are limited on gardening space or don't have enough beds to grow all the vegetables you'd like. They did great on our deck. They did great in the garden and around the garden. So I do recommend them. As far as drying out those fabric bags, I've read some reviews where people said that you have to water them a lot and they dry out. Honestly, I didn't find that to be an issue. I watered them maybe every other day if we hadn't got any rain. And the tomatoes loved them, the tomatillos loved them. So I would give them a shot. They sell them in like 5-packs, and depending on the size, it's like 5 for $15, 5 for $25. Affordable enough where if you're limited on gardening space, or you're like me and started way too many seeds and you don't want to compost the plant because it's just like almost a sin to compost those baby plants. But yeah, anyways, they really are great, especially in a pinch, and they're reusable, which is fantastic. So as we move down the line, I do have more of my supplies. In this red and clear Rubbermaid container here, I have like my seedling germination mats. I was short on seedling trays last year, so I bought a ton of those like aluminum casserole pans, like you put lasagna in. I got them at Walmart. I think it was like an 8-pack or a 4-pack for like $5-6. I can't remember. It was cheap enough for me to give it a try, and they actually did work pretty well. I didn't use them on top of seedling germination mats because I didn't want to heat them, but for holding pots, seedling pots, they were very good, and pretty sturdy. So in a pinch, they work. I do have a potting cart that I found on Facebook Marketplace this past spring from a local lady. Super kind, super sweet, and I was more than happy to take this offer because it is fantastic. It's got a nice spot here where it's removable, and you can go ahead and do your potting right over this, and the dirt will fall right on down, and you can catch it down below with a bin. You've also got another spot here where you could fill it up with your dirt or whatever if you need. If you want to put water in there, here's like a cover, so you could cover this area. You can take this and slide it. Let's see here. You can slide it in. I got vermiculite in the way. You can actually slide it in, boom, and then you have like a little tray. And this can go right on top. So it's pretty awesome because you can use it in different ways. There's some storage down below. Right now I got my gardening bag with all my gardening tools in that bag of vermiculite there. You know, just some random stuff. Still got to kind of organize. Moving day yesterday, I'm just happy enough I got somewhat organized in here and it doesn't look like a total like crazy place. But this is fantastic. I plan to use that for doing all my seed starts, doing any potting. My family's going to be so happy that I no longer will be potting seedlings at the dinner table. So yeah, I'm pretty sure Joe and the boys are going to be very happy. I'm not going to be potting seedlings at the dinner table again like I did last year. Don't worry, I cleaned and disinfected afterwards, but yeah, I had to use what I had available, and so that's what I did. There were bins of seed starting mix. I like to use Pro Mix, and it was just everywhere. It was a mess. So this year it'll be great, and I can get messy in the dirt without having to really clean things up and disinfect like crazy, like I did last year. The next thing I did move into here from one of our sheds is this awesome little red wagon. My friend down the road, the family lives down the road from us. We're good friends with them, and we have been for, oh geez, probably 12 years. We've lived here for 12 years, and we've known them for about that long. And this year they found this wagon. It was up, you know, for free, and they asked if we could use it, and I said yes. I always can use wagons, hauling produce back and forth from the garden, and the size of this is excellent because it is small enough to get into here and it doesn't take up too much space, and it'll be protected too. I didn't want to leave this out in the winter time for that wood to rot, or, you know, potentially metal to rust or something happen to it. It's just a nice little red wagon for carting things into or out of this greenhouse. So over in this corner here, I have some mint and sage, and I think there's some thyme in there, rosemary. I had these in pots. There's lemongrass too. Normally these pots have to stay outside throughout the winter and nothing really survived ever. So I was like, well, let me put them into my greenhouse and see how they do. Maybe it'll help them to survive better this year. Right now it's not heated in here. However, it's not freezing in here either. So I think they're kind of happy. They look pretty happy. The rosemary and the sage still have some nice green leaves on them. So does the mint. The thyme and the lemongrass, they're pretty much browned over, but everything looks pretty good, pretty decent. So it was worth a shot if for anything. I also do have some catnip over here on this table. That took a beating from the neighborhood cats. We don't have cats, but my catnip definitely brought all the cats to the yard this year, which I don't mind because they help with the mice and pests that like to get into the garden. So if they want my catnip, that's fine by me. I will plant it all around for them. One thing I haven't really shown yet is the exhaust fan that we do have. Joe installed this. He purchased it off Amazon and installed it. He will be able to give more details on it. I am not very good at the technical stuff. He explains it to me in the basics and then I can use it. But he installed it. We also have like a temperature setting here. There is the knob for the speed of the fan, high and low and off and all that good stuff. We did get a Govee to monitor the temperature and humidity in here, which Joe, I'm sure, will be able to do a video describing that and pretty much all of this. So there is the exhaust fan, and we have the other part over here. So the exhaust to come out will blow straight across and come down and go out over this way. And Joe did put some hardware cloth on the opposite side of that to make sure that no rodents would enter through the exhaust. Here are those mosaic tile windows. I'm still in awe of them. I am really happy I decided to make them. And it's just funny how these ideas popped into my head. It's kind of like being guided. They just bring a little bit of personality and character and uniqueness to the greenhouse. If you're looking to make a greenhouse, I highly suggest, thinking of a way to make it personalized and just make it you, however you decide to do it. I am planning to make some stained glass abstract windows out of these triangle ones. You see that one and that one. And then further up here, there and there. And then over here and the top, you see there's 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to use stained glass and make those custom as well. We bought a couple sheets of stained glass and did these small ones right here. That's a light green stained glass that's got like a texture to it. That one. And over here. Now when it comes to the tables that we're going to make, I'll show you here the design that I'm thinking about that I'd like to incorporate. I actually found it just on Google, did a quick Google search and went on images, and I really liked the look of kind of like a 3-foot high greenhouse table running basically from here all the way down in an L shape to right where you're in line with the exhaust fan, so to here. And it would be about 25 inches wide. And the top of it would actually be hardware cloth, wire mesh. So if I'm got dirt or whatnot, it would just kind of fall through. And on the bottom, underneath it, this is what I'm thinking, and I'm not too sure yet how it would play out, but I was thinking about doing some cold frame style underneath on top of this rock with heating cables for soil going underneath the rock, and using the cold frame with those heating cables as seed starting areas. Because if I'm starting in February, it's really cold here in upstate New York, very cold at that time of year, and I don't particularly want to heat the entire greenhouse. I just want to have concentrated areas. So if I'm not really looking to heat the entire greenhouse, I'm playing around with the idea of using the heating cables buried underneath some of the rock that we have as our flooring in here, and then potentially using some cinder blocks. And I have some old storm windows left over from the greenhouse construction. We have actually tons of leftover windows, some of which we actually did give away for free to other people looking to build greenhouses. And then we kept some because with building the goat shelter and the chicken coop, we didn't know if we could potentially use some of those. Not many, but maybe some. But I also wanted to keep some because of building cold frames potentially down the road. And so a light bulb went off in my head, and I was like, well, maybe I can use cold frames in the greenhouse for those really, really cold months when I'm trying to start seedlings that need, pretty much to be between, 60 and 70 degrees to germinate and stay healthy. If I have them in a cold frame out of some cinder blocks, say, and a storm window on top slanted down, with the heating cables underneath, or even the seedling germination mats, the heated ones there, maybe that might work. And if I use hardware cloth as the top of the greenhouse tables or benches, whatever you want to call them, you could hang lights. I have those shop lights that I used for starting seedlings. I could hang them from the hardware cloth and adjust them to the needed height. So I'm brainstorming, something I'm thinking about. I don't know if there might be any cons to that idea, but it got me thinking. I'm also trying to use what we have on hand too. I don't want to spend a ton more money right now, or really ever, but if I have resources available, why not put them to use? So potential cold frames underneath the greenhouse benches, tables, plus using the hardware cloth allows light to go through. So it's a win-win. I might make it a 2-tier gardening table. I might basically take that same design and put a second one so I can have even more room, taking advantage of that vertical space. The table, for the most part, will be located on the northern side of the greenhouse, so that southern exposure is coming in, it's not blocking any of that light. And it would be on the eastern side, mostly. So I think that would really work out well. If you do have any suggestions, please let me know in the comments, because I'd really like to know. I'm brainstorming, so I'm just really trying to think. I am trying to research. I'm looking at a lot of people's posts in some of the Facebook groups I belong to and seeing what other people have done, which is so helpful. So that's the current plan. Also, if we're thinking about heating the greenhouse as a whole, down the road, probably next year, we might put up a propane wall heater, because we have our propane tank. Let me show you, located right there. So our house is heated by propane. Why not tap into that? Why not tap into that and use that resource to also heat the greenhouse? Now, we're trying to think of a way to do it efficiently, and what makes the most sense. What's cost effective, you know, all those check boxes. So we're thinking about doing that as a way if we need to actually heat up a bigger area of this greenhouse instead of a small concentrated area, using the wall propane heater, which I think the one we were looking at was like 20,000 BTUs and it was like $200. That would be more than sufficient, because we have a 10 by 20 greenhouse. So that's 120 square feet. That 20,000 BTUs, is more than enough than we would need. And $200 is pretty low when it comes to purchasing a heater for the greenhouse. There are so many different options out there. It can kind of be overwhelming. So that's kind of what we're thinking, though, down the road, as our next big purchase for the greenhouse is maybe a wall propane heater. But the heating cables I've seen, you can get 48 feet of a heating cable for about $50 on Amazon. So that wouldn't be a bad option to get started with. So yeah, that's kind of the rundown of where I'm currently at with the greenhouse and what my plans are, what Joe and I are thinking, and hopefully, that gives you maybe a little bit more information if you're interested in doing your own greenhouse, or kind of where we stand with our progress and the choices we're making now that the greenhouse is actually completed. As Joe did say, he's going to make a video doing it more overall, greenhouse detailed instruction video, kind of describing really the whole process, as best you can, trying to make it simplified. We did it totally step by step, and it's totally custom. So sometimes it's hard to tell people what you did when you didn't follow an instruction book, you didn't follow somebody else's guidance. We took it totally step by step. So I think he is going to try to put together that video, and he is very good at explaining things more simply than me. So it should be good. So be on the lookout for that. But thanks y'all for coming along and joining me in my greenhouse this lovely December morning. Take care. Bye-bye.